Before we begin, allow me to share a thought that might just shake the foundations of what we believe about progress. Imagine this world of ours, built on blueprints, manuals, digital models, and instructions for even the simplest tasks. Now imagine that in a single night, every plan, every guide, every engineering diagram simply vanished. Our cities would stutter, our machines would fall silent, and humanity would find itself lost in the very world it created. No instruction books, no digital models, just human hands, guided by a kind of wisdom we no longer understand. So maybe the real question isn't, how did they do it? Maybe the real question, the one we've been too afraid to ask, is, what wisdom have we lost along the way? Think about this. Skyscrapers without steel, cities thriving in bone-dry deserts, concrete that heals its own wounds deep beneath the water. This isn't a story from the future. It's a story from our past, a past powerful enough to humble everything we think we know. In our world today, nothing gets built without a trail of paperwork. We trust blueprints more than we trust people. Every building, every bridge, every tiny screw has a file, a diagram, a digital record. And if those records disappeared, we'd panic. We simply don't know how to build without them. But when you look back at ancient engineering, something astonishing hits you. Their blueprints are gone. No scrolls, no sketches, no step-by-step plans. Just the final masterpiece, standing tall, as if the instructions were written into the builders themselves. Take the pyramids of Giza, millions of stone blocks, some heavier than trucks, lifted and placed with a precision so perfect, you can't slide a credit card between them. And Sacsayhuaman, those stones don't just fit. They embrace each other, like pieces of a puzzle only human hands could understand. These weren't accidents. They weren't miracles reserved for legends. They were the result of generations of people, real people, craftsmen, laborers, thinkers, dreamers, who poured their lives into something they believed would outlast them. And yet, not a single manual survived. Not one detailed plan. The knowledge that built these wonders lived in the minds and muscles of the people, and when those people were gone, their secrets faded with them. We know the structures. We can touch the stones. But the hearts, the hands, the conversations, the arguments, the failures, the breakthroughs, the human story behind how they did it, that's the part that vanished. And maybe that's the real paradox. Not that we don't know the techniques, but that we lost the connection to the people who did. Some of the most remarkable secrets from the ancient world aren't hidden in museums or buried in forgotten ruins. They're right there in the structures that have refused to fall apart after thousands of years. And when you see them up close, it makes you stop and ask, how? Roman concrete is a perfect example. We build bridges and buildings today with all our technology, and many of them start cracking within decades. But the Romans built sea walls that are still standing after 2,000 years. Exposed to saltwater, storms, erosion, and they're still holding strong. There's something almost humbling about that. And then there's Petra, a city carved right out of the rock in the middle of a desert. No major river, no endless supply of water, but they figured it out. They designed a water system so clever and so efficient that it turned a lifeless stretch of land into a thriving city. And the more we learn about these places, the more we realize something important. These people weren't just building monuments. They were solving problems. Real problems. With the tools and knowledge they had at the time. And I think that's what makes these ancient structures feel so special. They remind us that human innovation didn't start with electricity or machines or computers. It started with people looking at the world around them and asking, how do we make this better? These aren't just engineering achievements. They're stories. Stories of creativity, determination, and the belief that you can shape the world around you, even when the world gives you almost nothing to work with. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. For all the technology we have today like supercomputers, lasers, satellites, there are still things the ancient world did that leave us speechless. And it's a bit humbling to admit that we still don't completely understand how they did it. We're trying to follow their footsteps, to build the way they once built. But every time we try, we run into the same wall. They were ahead of us in ways we didn't expect. Think about those Inca stones. Massive blocks that lock together with impossible precision. You can't even slip a piece of paper between them. We've tried recreating that. It's slow. It's exhausting. It makes you respect the people who did it even more. And they didn't just build a single wall or temple. They built entire cities like that, stone after stone, generation after generation. When we look at early pyramids, we can almost see the process. The failures, the mistakes, the collapses. It's like watching humanity learn by trial and error. And what's strange is that even today, with all our tools and our science, we're still asking the same question: how on earth did they do this? But here's where it gets really interesting. With AI simulations and new research, we're starting to uncover techniques and patterns that feel familiar, as if the answers were sitting there all along, waiting for us to rediscover them. It makes you wonder, maybe knowledge isn't always new. Maybe we lose it, and then we find it again when we're ready. We aren't just studying ancient builders anymore. We're trying to catch up to them. There's a mystery buried in humanity's past. We stand before ancient temples and forgotten cities carved from solid rock. We look at walls so precise they defy geometry, and at structures aligned so perfectly with the stars that even today, we can't fully explain them. And every time we look at them, we say, there's no way humans could have done this. But the more you think about that, the more you realize what we're really saying. We're underestimating ourselves. We've turned ancient achievements into legends. We've wrapped them in myth and magic, as if they were made by gods or angels or something beyond human hands. But the truth is so much more powerful. They were people, not divine, not supernatural, not visitors from the heavens, just human beings. People with calloused palms and stubborn hopes. People who woke up every morning and decided to push a little harder, dream a little further, build something the world had never seen. They didn't have machines or industrial blueprints or AI simulations mapping the perfect angle. They didn't survey the land with satellites. What they had was something we treat as primitive now: time. Observation, patience, and an understanding of nature that we've nearly forgotten. They studied rivers the way we scroll through screens. They watched the sky the way we watch clocks. They learned from wind and stone, from weather and season, from the beating pulse of the earth. They didn't fight the environment. They partnered with it. And together, human and nature, they shaped wonders we still can't replicate. Most people stop the story there. But there's a moment no one talks about, the moment everything changes. Because those ancient builders weren't just building monuments. They were building messages. Messages to the future. Messages to us. Carved into stone and aligned to the heavens, they left us proof not just of engineering, but of something deeper. Of ambition, imagination, and humans refusing to accept limits. They knew they would never live to see the completion of their greatest works. They built anyway. They built for a world beyond themselves. And here's the reveal. The true wonder of the ancient world isn't the scale. It isn't the mystery. It isn't the perfection. It's the reminder of what humans were always capable of. Because when you walk among those ruins today, you don't just see stone. You feel the presence of the people who shaped them. You feel the arguments, the failures, the triumphs. You feel the pride of building something designed to outlast time itself. You realize, we are not more advanced than them. We're only more distracted. We think we've evolved past our ancestors. We think we're smarter, faster, more capable. But maybe the ancient world isn't a story about lost technology. Maybe it's a story about lost mindset. Their greatest tool wasn't stone. It wasn't astronomy. It wasn't mathematics. Their greatest tool was belief. Belief in the impossible. Belief in the long term. Belief in themselves. The same belief we keep forgetting. So here's the truth buried beneath every monument and every mystery. The most extraordinary things humans have ever done weren't done by gods or miracles. They were done by people just like us. People who didn't wait for the world to change, they changed it themselves. So the next time you stand before an ancient wonder, don't ask how they built it. Ask why we stopped. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel to grow. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next video.